For the most part, we'll be using symbolic notation to represent propositions, as you've just seen. We'll adopt a convention for our convenience. We'll use the capital letters A to O to represent specific propositions such as this cat is gray, and the letters P to W to represent general propositions such as Americans are well educated. Whenever possible, we use the first letter of a word, preferably a noun, inside the proposition as a cue for our symbol. For example, if the Earth is a planet, then it moves becomes if E, then M. Let's try to symbolize our argument. If the Earth is a planet, then it moves. If the Earth does not move, then it is not a planet. What's the first complete proposition we encounter here? It's the statement, the Earth is a planet. Note that I'm not yet trying to symbolize the if-then connective. My first job is to symbolize the simple statements within each compound proposition that the argument contains. So how do I do this? It's really very simple. I'll use E for the Earth is a planet because it's a specific statement, and E is the first letter of the first noun that I encounter in the proposition. Next, I've got to symbolize the Earth moves because I've already used E, I'll use another letter from another word in the statement. In this case, I'll use M for the Earth moves. So the symbolized argument looks like this. If E, then M. If not M, then not E. Let's try to identify the form of this argument. Premise: Ottawa is the capital of Canada. How could we symbolize this? We'd first note that this statement is specific. It talks about a single city, so according to our convention, we can use any capital letter from A to O to symbolize it. Obviously, the first word of the statement is a noun that starts with O, so let's just use O. The conclusion of the argument states that, so it is not the case that Ottawa is not the capital of Canada. Essentially, we have the same statement as we had in the premise, O, but with two negations. So we can add the negations and we have captured the argument's form. Let's do another one. The first premise states that either Fido is in the house or he's at the vet. So we need to symbolize the two simple statements, Fido is in the house and he's at the vet. We can use F for Fido is in the house and E for he's at the vet. You might ask, why are we using E for he's at the vet? Well, F is taken, so we need to choose another letter. We can't use V since it's reserved for general statements, so we'll use E. In point of fact, it matters little what letter we use, just as long as we agree what the letters stand for. Our second premise states that Fido is not in the house, and we can symbolize this as not F. Here's our conclusion, so Fido is at the vet, which we can symbolize as therefore E. We have now symbolized the argument. Let's try another one. Premise: Jane works at the post office and Bob at the supermarket. Again, we have two simple statements that we have to symbolize. Specifically, Jane works at the post office, followed by Bob works at the supermarket. Symbolizing this is easy. J and B. Now, let's look at the conclusion. Bob works at the supermarket, which we can symbolize as B. Incidentally, this is a valid form of propositional argument known as conjunctive simplification. Not a very interesting argument, but it has its uses, as we shall see when we get into proof construction. Okay, one last one. Premise: TV is amusing if and only if it features good comedies. We'll use A for TV is amusing and C for it features good comedies. The second premise states TV does not feature good comedies, which we can symbolize as not C. And our conclusion is, so TV is not amusing, which we can symbolize as not A. This concludes this segment. Please continue to the next.